Hi there, sixth grade. So we are going to continue where we left off with the Found book. Margaret Peterson Haddock's Found. So we know that Angela was peeking down the runway. And if you remember, she was peeking down the runway and nobody was getting off this plane that had just landed at gate 2B. So she went back to Monique. Of course, I'm sure there's a plane at the gate. I can see it with my own eyes. Monique was practically screaming into the phone. She shook her head at Angela, and for the first time, it was almost in a companionable way, as if to say, at least you know there's a plane there, unlike the other morons I have to deal with. Monique cupped her hand over the receiver and turned to Angela. The incompetence around here is unbelievable. The control tower says this plane never landed, never even showed up on the radar. The SkyTrail's dispatcher says we're not missing a plane. Everything that was supposed to land in the past hour pulled up to the right gate, and all the other planes due to arrive within the next hour or so are accounted for. How could so many people just lose a plane? Or how could we find it? Angela thought. The whole situation was beginning to seem strange to her, otherworldly, but maybe that was just a function of being new to the job, of having spent so much time concentrating on the computer and then being yelled at by Monique. Maybe airports lost and found planes all the time. And that was just one of the things that nobody even mentioned in the SkyTrails orientation. Did anybody try to contact the pilot? Angela asked cautiously. Of course, Monique said, but there's no answer. He must be on the wrong frequency. Angela thought of the dark cockpit, the way she hadn't been able to see through the windows. She decided not to mention this. Should I go back and wait? Monique nodded fiercely and went back to yelling into the phone. Well, what do you mean this isn't your responsibility? It's not my responsibility either. Angela was glad to put a wide aisle and two waiting areas between herself and Monique again. She went back to the jetway door by gate 2B. The sloped hallway leading down to the plane was still empty, and the colorful travel posters lining the walls, SkyTrails, your ticket to the world, seemed jarringly bright. Angela stepped into the jetway. That jetway is that tunnel that leads from the airplane to the airport, so she steps out into it. I'll just go down far enough to see if the door is open, she told herself. It may be a violation of protocol, but Monique won't notice, not when she's busy yelling at everyone else in the airport. At the bend in the ramp, Angela looked around the corner. She had a limited view, but caught a quick glimpse of a flight attendant's little galley with neatly stowed drink carts. Obviously, the jet door was standing wide open. She started to turn around, already beginning to debate with herself about whether she should report this information to Monique. And then she heard, what? A whimper? A cry? Angela couldn't exactly identify the sound, but it was enough to pull her down the jetway. New SkyTrails employee saves passenger on first day on the job, she thought to herself. Notice that this is like italic writing, that slanted writing. That means when you see that means typically that the character is thinking something in their head. So she's thinking, new SkyTrail employee saves passenger on the first day of the job. She thought to herself, imagining the phrase, praise and congratulations, and maybe the raise she would be sure to receive if what she was visualizing was real. She'd learned CPR in the orientation session. She knew basic first aid. She knew where every emergency phone in the airport was located. She started walking faster and then running. On the side of the jet, she was surprised to see a strange insignia, kind of like a logo. Tachyon Travel, it said. Some airline Angela had never heard of. Was that a private charter company, maybe? And then, while she was staring at it, the words suddenly changed into the familiar wing in the cloud symbol of SkyTrails. Angela blinked. Wait, that couldn't have just happened, she told herself. It was just an optical illusion, just because I was running, just because I'm worried about whoever might be making that cry or whimper. Angela stepped onto the plane. She turned her head, first to the left, looking into the cockpit. Its door also stood open, but the small space was empty, the instruments dark. Hello, Angela called, looking to the right, now expecting to see some flight attendant with perfectly applied makeup, or maybe some flight attendant and a pilot bent over a prone passenger, someone laying flat. Maybe an old man had suddenly had a heart attack or a stroke. Or at very least, passengers crowding the aisle and clutching laptops and stuffed animals brought from faraway grandparents' homes, overtired toddlers crying, fragile old women calling out to taller men, "Could you pull the luggage down from the overhead for me? It's that red suitcase right over there." But the aisle of this airplane was empty and silent as its cockpit. Angela could see all the way to the back of the plane, and not a single person stood in her view. Not a single voice answered her. Only then did Angela drop her gaze to the passenger seats. They stretched back 12 rows with 2 seats per row on the left of the aisle and 1 each on the right. She stepped forward, peering in all of them. 36 seats on this plane, and every single one of them was full. Each seat contained a baby. And that's where we stop. So now what you're going to do is you're going to go to your Jamboard and you're going to write about what prediction, what is the author teaching us today? What new things did you learn? What conclusions are you making? Okay, what predictions are you making? Go to the Jamboard and find out and write it out.